Welcome everyone to another episode. I'm Justin, lead designer, founder of Black Bear Creative, and I want to go through some ways of how can businesses pick the right design firm for them. This is really important, especially for companies that don't have much experience working with design teams or freelance designers, and it's just going to give you some strategies to of what to look for when partnering up with a design firm, and what are the key things you need to look at when making that important decision. So the first important thing you need to address is whether you want to work with an overseas or local design team. If you're going to work with an overseas design team, then you're going to have to expect to do a lot of emails, video conference calls, and having to deal with different time zones. So if you don't mind getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning or staying up to 2 o'clock in the morning to do going through feedback of a project or discussing things on the project, then overseas working with an overseas design team might be the option for you. And obviously you might come across some language barriers. If you're patient and you've got the time to deal with it, or you've got a dedicated project manager, then it's not so bad. It's definitely an option, especially for startups as well. If you've got low budgets, it's definitely a way to, it's definitely an option that can work. So the other option is working with obviously a local company. Obviously a couple more benefits with that. Easy communication for one. Pretty much no language barrier, you'd hope, and you're giving back to the local community, the local economy, and you're just helping another Australian business out. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to risk. How much risk are you willing to take? Depending on your budget, you might have to take that extra risk and, working with a company from overseas. You might not have a choice, but there's definitely options there. So take that into consideration, and when you're sort of deciding whether you want to work with local or overseas. The second thing is figuring out if the design firm that you're looking at has the same business values, personal values as you. Can you build rapport with this team? Do you get along? Do you laugh at the same jokes? Is there a bit of chemistry there? Can you see yourself actually, working with them in the future? Because if you can't, if you feel like it'll be a dread to work with them, long term, then it's definitely not an option. It's definitely not a good option to pursue. Also, do they have a genuine interest with your industry? Do you think they can, provide some insight in terms of, different? Do they know what's happening within your industry? Do you think they have the interest to go through and research this as well? That's another really important thing you need to consider. Are you hiring a team to just purely implement, or do you want a team to think a bit deeper and do a bit more research on their behalf? So the third important thing is body of work. So this is very, very important. Whenever you're researching, different design firms, designers, freelancers, whatever, go through and see their case studies, their portfolios, see what they have done, see if their quality of work meets your standard, and see like the type of work is actually what you want at the end of the project. For example, if you want hand-lettered typography within your brand identity, then look for designers or design teams that have examples of hand lettered typography, brand identities. If you're looking at a company, at a firm that doesn't really have much to show, then more than likely they don't have the experience, or they don't specialize in that area of design. So take a look, take your time, and make sure that the team you're looking at has at least a decent case study that proves that they can implement or create what you want at the end of the project. So the final most important thing, I believe, is before you start venturing out and looking for different design teams to work with, is figuring out why you want to undertake this project in the first place. It shouldn't be just because we want to make it look pretty, or we want to make it look nicer. Why do you want to make it look nicer? Why do you want to make it look pretty? What's the underlying business problem or pain point you actually are having? That's what you really want to solve. So a question I like to ask is, why do you think design will help? This sort of allows the client to think a little bit deeper and, uncover, what's really the issue. And this is where the design team should be able to help and diagnose and discover what are actually the main pain points or the issues that your business is having, and tailor making a design solution to obviously solve these problems. That's sort of that you'd best off finding a team that focuses on that, as opposed to making something look pretty and not really solving really any business problems. And this comes down to outcomes. So you should have a bit of a clear idea of what actual outcomes you want to achieve at the end of the project. So whether that being increased profit, more efficient workplace, build brand awareness. Can I say that? So build brand awareness, and it doesn't have to be tangible. It could be having more confidence within your brand so when you're at a networking event and handing out a business card, you're not embarrassed by the logo on it or the design of it. You're more than proud to hand it out to people, as it reflects truly who you are and what your business is about. So that pretty much sums it all up. So there's sort of some quick ideas that I think may help companies sort of pick the right people for them. Hopefully you found this helpful, and keep an eye out for some more videos on the way. If you've got any questions, just shoot us an email at info@blackbearcreative.com.au. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.